Misery by Anton Chekhov. Misery by Anton Chekhov is a short story about an old man named Iona Potapov, who is a cab driver in Russia. Iona has recently lost his young son, and he is consumed by grief. He desperately wants to talk about his loss, but no one seems interested in listening to him. Throughout the story, Iona tries to strike up conversations with his passengers, hoping to find someone who will empathize with his pain. However, his attempts are mostly met with indifference or impatience. As Iona drives through the snowy streets of Moscow, he encounters various passengers, including a drunken officer, a quarreling couple, and a disinterested peasant. Each interaction leaves him feeling more isolated and hopeless. Finally, when he picks up a young officer, Iona opens up about his sorrow, pouring out his heart to the stranger. However, even this passenger fails to understand or acknowledge Iona's grief, and he dismisses him without a second thought. The story ends with Iona returning to the cab stand, feeling more despondent than ever. He realizes that he is utterly alone in his suffering and that no one will ever truly understand the depth of his pain. Despite his attempts to reach out to others, Iona remains trapped in his misery, isolated from the world around him. Mother by Waten. Mother by Waten is a short story set in Australia during the 1940s. It revolves around the relationship between a young boy named John and his mother, Mrs. Morrison, who immigrated to Australia from Europe. The story begins with John reflecting on his mother's life and the hardships she has faced as an immigrant in a new country. Mrs. Morrison is a strong and resilient woman who works tirelessly to provide for her family despite facing discrimination and prejudice. As John grows older, he becomes increasingly aware of the challenges his mother has overcome and the sacrifices she has made for him and his siblings. He admires her courage and determination, but he also feels guilty for not fully appreciating her efforts earlier in life. Throughout the story, John reminisces about key moments in his relationship with his mother, from their struggles to adapt to Australian culture to the moments of joy they share as a family. He realizes the depth of his mother's love and the profound impact she has had on his life. In the end, Mother is a poignant tribute to the strength and resilience of immigrant women like Mrs. Morrison, who face adversity with grace and dignity while striving to build a better future for their children. Shooting an Elephant. Shooting an Elephant is an essay by George Orwell that recounts an incident from his time as a police officer in British-controlled Burma, present-day Myanmar. In the story, Orwell describes the pressure and moral dilemma he faced when called upon to deal with a rampaging elephant. The narrative begins with Orwell receiving a report that an elephant has broken free from its chains and is causing damage in a village. As the local magistrate's representative, Orwell feels compelled to respond to the situation, even though he doubts the severity of the threat posed by the elephant. Upon arriving at the scene, Orwell finds the elephant peacefully grazing and realizes that it is no longer a danger. However, a large crowd has gathered, expecting him to take action. Feeling pressured to maintain his authority and uphold the image of British imperialism, Orwell decides to shoot the elephant. Despite his reservations and the elephant's apparent calmness, Orwell shoots the animal multiple times, eventually killing it. The act of shooting the elephant is portrayed as a symbol of the oppressive nature of imperialism, with Orwell feeling compelled to act in a way that goes against his own moral beliefs in order to maintain control and preserve the status quo. Ultimately, Shooting an Elephant explores themes of power, morality, and the complexities of colonialism, offering a poignant critique of the dehumanizing effects of imperialism on both the colonizers and the colonized. On Seeing England for the First Time. On Seeing England for the First Time is an essay by Jamaica Kincaid in which she reflects on her complex relationship with England and its colonial legacy. Kincaid, who was born and raised in Antigua, describes her anticipation and excitement as a young girl when she first learns about England through literature and education. However, when Kincaid finally visits England as an adult, she is struck by the stark contrast between her romanticized notions of the country and the reality she encounters. She observes the grandeur and wealth of England but also sees the poverty and inequality that exist beneath the surface. Throughout the essay, Kincaid examines the impact of British colonialism on her own identity and the identity of her fellow Antiguans. She criticized England's role in perpetuating imperialism and cultural hegemony, arguing that the legacy of colonialism continues to shape the lives and perceptions of people in former colonies like Antigua. On Seeing England for the First Time is a powerful exploration of the complexities of colonialism, identity, and the lasting effects of imperialism on both colonizers and the colonized. Through her personal experiences and observations, Kincaid offers a thought-provoking commentary on the enduring legacy of colonialism in the modern world.